Like to start recording. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to this artist information meeting for the Barrett Percent for Art project. Thank you for joining us. I'm Marguerite Anglin, the Public Art Director for OACCE, which is the City of Philadelphia's Office of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy. And we are really looking forward to engaging with you, with all of you, artists who are interested in applying for this public art project. And Marie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Marie. I am the Percent for Art Project Manager for OECCE, and I'm really excited to share with you our project for Barrett Playground, which we will give you all the details about and also give you an overview as to how to put together an application and what we're looking for specifically for this project.
That's great. All right, next slide, please.
All right.
I see people are still putting in their medium in the chat. That's great. All right, I think we went through our introductions. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so I think all of you who are in this meeting so far know that the presentation is being recorded. That's just so that we can have this as a living resource that will be on our line, but be online and made available for those who are not able to attend. And also during the Q&A portion at the end, we will invite you to ask questions using the raise your hand. There's a raise your hand feature located at the bottom menu of your Zoom window. And when you're called on, then you can just unmute yourself and ask your question. We do ask that you keep yourself muted until we get to the questions time. Excuse me, and then all questions, we will be combining the questions that we receive verbally tonight with the written questions we received by email, and all questions are due in writing by April the 22nd. And so then the recording of this presentation, along with all of the questions and responses, will be made available on our website at creativephl.org by Monday, April the 29th. Next slide, please.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's our agenda. We've already gone through the welcome and introductions. We'll talk a little bit about the goals for tonight. We'll give you an overview of the city's Percent for Art program, as well as the Barrett Playground Percent for Art project. We will review the Percent for Art application process. We'll talk about the timeline and next steps, and then there'll be time for Q&A as well. Next slide. So the goals for tonight are to, well, one, we want to give you an overview of the Percent for Art program and the process for commissioning artwork at Barrett Playground. We want to provide an opportunity for you as interested artists to ask questions about the application process. We want to also encourage local artists to apply to this opportunity and to future opportunities. You have more familiarity with Percent for Art if you don't currently have familiarity. And then we want to be able to provide artists with assistance and information that can help strengthen your applications for this project and give you a greater understanding of what we're looking for. Next slide, please. All right, so first we want to find out who is in the room in terms of, if you're familiar with Percent for Art. There's a poll that should pop up on your screen, and if you can answer, have you ever participated in or applied to a City of Philadelphia Percent for Art project before? Go ahead and interact with that, and then it's yes, no, or not sure, and then make sure to hit submit when you're done with that. Oh, and I think we have, I think this second question might be coming. That was intended to be at the end. You may not have learned yet about it. So just answer the first one and we'll try to pop this up at the end as well. All right, this is great. Wow. Most of you have not ever participated in or applied to a City of Philadelphia Percent for Art project before. This is great. We really, we endeavor and we aim to make this process really transparent as possible to encourage all artists to apply. Whether you're new to public art, and we do have some that are that have gone through the city's process, or at least you've heard of the Percent for Art. So this is great. Tonight you'll be learning a lot. I'm going to end this poll.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, let's move to the next slide, please. All right, so we'd like to just give you an overview of Percent for Art. Our mission is to commission beautiful and permanent artworks that reflect the diversity of the city of Philadelphia and residents, and also speak to the culture, the values, the history of the city, and reflect the neighborhoods where the artwork is being installed. Next slide. So the city's Percent for Art program is triggered by city-funded capital projects, such as the one that's taking place at through the rebuild program at Barrett Playground. So where projects that have a budget of $1 million or more, the program requires that 1% of the total overall budget be designated for site-specific permanent public art. And so again, the construction project that's happening at Barrett has triggered an opportunity for site-specific public art with a budget of $135,000. And so funding for the Percent for Art program goes directly to the winning artists. It could be emerging artists or an established artists, artist teams to create and install the artwork. Next slide, please. Community input is vital. None of these art projects that that the city is commissioning in neighborhoods can be created and installed successfully without the input of the community. We really want the artworks to express the voice of the community and be reflecting their value and their identity. And so we engage the community early on. The community helps us to establish goals for the art project, helps to inform finalist artists about the community and what stories that the artwork should tell, and also informs the Percent for Art committee selection of the winning artist and design. And the community engagement really, one of the ways that we start with community engagement is by making sure that we have a number of community residents, leaders, users of the facility that's being renovated or constructed on the Percent for Art committee. And these individuals, along with other project stakeholders, make the final selection, as I mentioned before, of the winning artist, and make sure that the design reflects the voice of the community. So the Percent for Art starts with an open call competition. Many of you are responding to that. It's a two-stage public art competition. The first part is interested artists submit their qualifications, past artwork, answer to short questions about the project, just showing your understanding of the project and perhaps how you're interpreting some of those answers. And then the part two, 3 to 4 artists are selected as finalists, and those artists would go on to submit site-specific proposals for the project. So in part one, which we're in right now, there's no submission of actual design proposals. You're just submitting your qualifications, and then it gets narrowed down in the second part. Next slide. And so once the winning artist is selected, that artist team is responsible for the design and fabrication and installation of the artwork on the site. And our office, OACCE, provides support to the artists and facilitates coordination with other city departments, just to ensure that the artwork is successfully implemented and installed and integrated into the construction project. Next slide. So we're currently here. This is a typical Percent for Art schedule, and what this shows is that there are phases to every project. We're currently in this orange phase. It's community engagement and artist selection. It's generally about 9 months, and then once we're out of this phase, and we'll talk a little bit more about what this phase entails. Then everything that's in blue is once the winning artist is selected. I want to highlight that with all projects, there is a design development phase where design revisions, once we have the winning artist, there's design revisions that take place, working from the concept to reality, also working from the concept to the art commission review. And that's in order to kind of make sure that the artwork is integrated to the site. And then the city contracts with the artist only after the Philadelphia Art Commission, which is in that second blue, that 2-month schedule that's right after the design development. Once the Philadelphia Art Commission has reviewed and approved the artwork, then the city contracts, the contracting process can begin. And then the fabrication installation is based on the winning artist's proposed schedule for fabricating the artwork. Next slide. Okay, we're going to show some examples of Percent for Art projects. And, you know, throughout the city, there are so many examples of artwork throughout the years. And, you know, we're going to show a couple of examples that are maybe specific to this project type. Art wall installations and ceiling hung artwork can take a lot of different forms. So let's go on to the next slide here. So this is an indoor wall mural by Ife Owu called "Read: A Pathway for Hope," and focuses on the importance of literacy in the community. The process began with engaging Logan's diverse community, consisting of African Americans, as well as immigrants from the Caribbean, Cambodia, Vietnam, and parts of Africa and South America. And the images and colors were drawn specifically from culturally significant patterns within the community. Next slide. This is Coordinates of Play by Benjamin Volta. It was installed 2014 at Pleasant Playground, and it's an indoor ceiling mural. And this is a result of the artist Ben Volta's work with students at Amy Northwest Middle School. So the artists and the students created abstract designs that integrate sports imagery with interpretations of the history and identity of the Mount Airy neighborhood, and then they painted them onto the ceiling. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. This is called Flight Pattern by Paul Santilleri, and this was installed at this is an indoor tile mural that's installed at the Philadelphia International Airport in 2017. And this is a large-scale painting on ceramic tile. And for this piece, Santilleri it starts with the image of a feather, and then as the lines increase and radiate out from the center, they become references to actual flight patterns across the globe. Next slide. This is called Flying Carpet. This is a mosaic wall. You know, hits the kind of that flying carpet look it's aptly named. It's by Ava Blitz. And this is at the MLK Older Adult Learning Center and was installed in 2018. And the artist Ava, she learned that it was pretty quickly, she learned it was really important to the community and the seniors who lived, or seniors at the Learning Center, to include activities that took place there. And so that is really what the theme is hidden within the design are symbols and icons that represent a lot of the different activities that took place, such as billiards and cards, dancing, even like bus trips and things like that nature. And so this really is the flying carpet alludes to the adventures that take place with the seniors. Next. I think this might be one of our last ones. This is African Legends. This is a bas-relief on a wall. And so this is a metal, it's sculptural. It is installed on, it's actually an interior wall that happens to be made of brick, and it's at the Widener Library branch, and it was by the artist Robert Phillips. And so this is mounted on the wall. It appears as if there's antelope that are running across the wall, as if the wall is a scene from the African plains. And so the artist wanted to pay homage to the importance of African folklore. And there's a proverb at the bottom that's also part of the artwork that reads, "No one knows the story of tomorrow's dawn." And I think this one is our last one. Okay, so then you may have seen Impulse. This is by Ralph Helmick and Stuart Schechter. This is at the airport as well, and it was installed in 2003. And so this gives a sense, we wanted to show this because when you think of ceiling hung installation, one might think of a singular element or, you know, but this is really a series. It could be a singular element, but this is an example of a series of elements. This is actually thousands of individual bird sculptures that actually morph into birds and planes and other flight-related forms when they're combined together. Okay, so I'm going to pause now before Marie takes over and goes into more detail with the Barrett project. But is there any general questions so far about the city's Percent for Art program? And you can use the raise your hand feature at the bottom. And when we call on you, you can unmute yourself. Okay, I'm not seeing any raised hands.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Derek. Go ahead, you can unmute yourself, Derek.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. It's been the details are quite extensive so far. I don't know if my question is relevant right now, but I'm calling in from Nairobi, Kenya. So I saw this and I applied because I'm really interested. I'm an artist based in Nairobi, and I think it would be nice to know if this is still relevant to me now that I'm not in Philadelphia.
That's a great question. I think we are going to touch on that. Um, all artists are completely open to apply to this. So this is open to everyone. However, we do give priority to local artists, artists who have familiarity with the community, or artists who maybe live or work in this area, Philadelphia, or the state. We also give priority to artists that reflect the diversity of the community, so that the art is it's a derivative of the community. It comes out of the community. And there's a lot of ways that that can take shape within an artist, maybe an artist team. We're going to talk a little bit about artist teaming because it's one of the things that we're actually recommending for this project because of the two different types of artwork. So, if you have any connections to Philadelphia or local connections to the community or to Philadelphia or no other artists, that's another way that you can also be involved. But the short answer is any artist can apply. And thank you for joining us all the way from Nairobi. So thank you. All right, we're gonna move on, I think, unless we have any other questions. We have a lot more to cover and we'll definitely have more time for questions.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's move on to the specifics. So you'll see that this project consists, what we're asking of is 2 complementary works of art that will be located in the commons area of the newly constructed recreation center. And so the first artwork will be a large indoor art wall installation on the recessed wall of the commons area. And the second artwork will be a ceiling art installation that will be hung in the high ceiling area of the commons. Let's get to the goals. So the goals of this project, we have 5 main goals here. They're to provide a permanent community-driven public artwork that reflects the culture, values, and diversity of the community in Logan. The second goal is to create a destination where community members feel welcome and visitors feel welcome. We want this artwork to be hopeful and empowering and reflect the past, present, and future, the aspirations of the community. It should be intergenerational because that's part of the characteristics of the feedback we've gotten from the community, that they see something very prominent about this space is that it's intergenerational. And we also want something that sort of speaks to the architecture of the building, which you'll see just in a little bit here. This space that we're talking about, the commons area, has a really light-filled space, and we want the artwork to expand upon that. And so this is a very detailed map here. I hope you can see it, but this is the space that we're talking about here. This is the new Recreation Center building. And so this whole project is this whole space, but we're focusing in on the new Recreation Center building and the commons area where the artwork will be. And just to show you what we're referencing here, so we were looking at this commons area. We have that wall here, the indoor mural wall, which is slated to be about like 26 feet wide by 12 feet high and 5 feet deep. That's the general area of this. And this area in the commons is where the ceiling hung artwork would be. And just to note, Marguerite said this earlier, but we're not asking for any designs at this moment. That'll be later in the process, but later on in that part of the process, we will give you more detailed views of this so that you can create something lifelike and realistic. So given that we're looking for both a wall mural and a wall installation, we're strongly encouraging folks to form multidisciplinary artist teams as needed. So if you have the skills to do both of those projects in one, by yourself, that's perfectly fine. But if you need a little bit of help, we're saying, definitely team up with someone else and become stronger and have the skills to do that. So teams can include 2 or more artists working in various mediums. And the team leader should be listed as part of the application. You'll see that, and we can also go over that too. But the main thing to note is that you can't form a team after you apply. You have to form a team before you apply. So we want you to think about this and think about what you can do and what you might need help with. Do you have anything to add to that, Marguerite?
Yeah, I'll just jump in. So another example of, because this is a art wall and a ceiling installation, is perhaps you have someone who is a painter or a muralist, and perhaps you also you have graphic capability, but you would not know how to. You could maybe design something that could become a sculpture or become something that could hang, but you would maybe don't know how to fabricate that. You could team up with a fabricator or a sculptor or a some other entity that could help you to create that 3-dimensional artwork. So you would apply with your team indicated. Otherwise, we might see, oh, well, they're a painter, they wouldn't be able to apply the 3-dimensional, and so that might not, you may not be able to compete against other teams that showed all their full capacity, if that makes sense. So that's why we ask if you have a team that you submit your application upfront with that, so we can see.
Yeah, that's a really great thing to point out. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. All right, so next slide. So as you know, the budget for this is $135,000, which includes the following. Marguerite, did you want to touch on these here in this slide?
Sure. So when we say a project is all inclusive, that means that it's not as if you're going to just like provide the artwork and someone else is going to install it. Or, for example, provide a concept for or even just provide the sculpture that will be hung and then someone else is going to hang it. So this this is all inclusive, meaning that all of the artist fees, anything that you need travel-wise, insurance, drawings, renderings, and models that you might create, the engineering design. We require for this project, because you're going to have something that's hanging. There are going to be kids playing in this space, and be people walking through. We want to make sure that this is secure, and so working with whether you have a fabricator and your fabricator has someone who can design, how it's going to be held together, and then how it's going to hang from the ceiling. All of that needs to be included in your budget. We have lighting here if needed, but that's likely not going to be needed for this project because it's indoors. There's already light in the space. But if you are proposing some sort of light, that would be having to be incorporated in the artist's art budget. Any artist-led community engagement, we do encourage that. So the city, we will have community engagement that's part of this process of leading up to the selection of the winning artist, where community is involved in that. However, any artist-led workshops or community engagement, like for example, say you have a community paint day, or say you do, say there's mosaics involved and you're teaching people to do mosaics and involving them in the actual artwork. If you're selected as an artist, that community engagement, there should be a budget for that as part of the art budget. So any other project-related expenses to support the creation and installation of the artwork. We also, and I just want to really highlight that we're really looking for teams that will be able to design and include all the hanging apparatus, if it's cables, if it's whatever those connections need to be, any reinforcement, all of that engineering has to be in your budget, is in order to make sure that the sculptures are securely attached from the ceiling. We will be providing structural for not to the winning artist, but once we have our finalists, 3 to 4 finalists who will actually go on to prepare proposals. We will be providing structural information for the existing structure of the ceiling. So, we will be providing weight load information. So, what's the maximum weight that the sculpture should be. But other than that, how you attach it, that's part of your design as the artist.
Thanks so much, Marguerite. All right. So now to get into the application process itself. So we are currently in part 1. So no proposals are due at this time. What we really just want to see is your work that you have made to this date that would help you in completing a project of this type. So we really want to see something similar to a wall mural or a hanging sculptural elements. And so going into the application process, it's on Submittable, which you've probably seen in the call for artists itself. You'll provide information to us and examples of your work, as we've said. And then from here, we'll answer your questions that you have here live, as well as if there's anything else that you need to know, we'll make sure that's all clear for you after the the tutorial as well. And then finalists are selected. So Marguerite, am I missing anything there? They can apply solo or as a team. And of course, you should identify that in your application.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so getting into the submission of qualifications. So the criteria that we're looking for is the capacity and demonstrated ability of high quality work. So that's what we're talking about. We want to see that you can make the wall mural and the hanging sculpture. We also want to see work that has an emotional response to it. It invokes emotions in the viewer, a connection to the site. So we talked about that a little bit earlier when Marguerite was answering a question, that we want to see people who are in some way connected to the site and have some kind of investment in the Logan community. We also want to see diversity of artists and artist teams, uniqueness, something different, whether it's your point of view, approach to your works, your style of your work, community engagement as well. Looking for something that is meaningful and engaging to the community. And lastly, an understanding of the project so that you're really demonstrating that you understand the goals that we put forth for this project that we talked about a little bit earlier. That's also in the call in case you need to refer back to it. And so these are the questions that you will see that you will have to answer in that part 1 of the application. So I'll read them here. Why does this Percent for Art opportunity at Barrett Playground interest you? How has your prior public artwork positively impacted, inspired, and/or educated diverse communities? In what ways can you engage youth in this community in the creation of your artwork? How you have a personal, or excuse me, do you have a personal history or connection to the Logan community near the Barrett Playground? How would your connection lead to creating a successful work of art that will relate to this community? How does your past experience show your capacity to create similar artwork of scale, size, medium as required for this opportunity? And lastly, why do you feel you are the best artist/artist team to be selected for this project? So all of these questions, as I mentioned, are on the application, and these were created by the committee. So this is what they will be reading your responses and evaluating you based on these application questions along with your work that you submit. All right, so finalist proposals. So part 2. So after we go through the initial selection process, there will be 3 to 4 finalists selected, and then these 3 to 4 finalists will go through this process where they visit the site. They get input from the public. So the public gives them feedback of what they want to see. So we have a lot of so we've already met with the public, and we meet with them several times more to make sure that we're really communicating their vision for this project, and that you have the information you need to connect with the community and make them feel connected to the artwork as well. So after that public meeting, you gather all that information that you've been given by the public, and you submit a proposal for your project, which you are given a $1,000 stipend. After that, there is another public meeting where they continue to give you feedback on that proposal. You're allowed to make some adjustments based on the feedback they've given you, and then you submit a final proposal that will be selected in the end. So anything I'm missing from there as well, Marguerite? Just want to make sure I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's.
No, just that I think that so this mentions that the committee will select the winning artist based on selection criteria that's specific to part 2, which we're I don't think we're going to go over today just because we want to make sure we have time for your questions for part 1. But that also will be what's discussed. So there's a site visit and pre-proposal meeting. And in that pre-proposal meeting is when more technical details, like the architect who's designed the building, where the space is going to be, where the artwork would be, will be at that meeting, be able to talk more in detail with the smaller group of artists that are selected to provide proposals.
Yeah. Great. All right. And so this is what the online submittable form looks like. You saw this on our website most likely, or in many of the forums that we've posted. So when you see this, this is what will lead you to the application, which will look like this, where you'll see all of the information that we're asking for. And you can also, in here, along with the call for artists, You can also see a sample of the Percent for Art semifinalist terms of agreement, just in case you want to get a head start in seeing what that exactly looks like, or a sample of what it looks like, and a sample of a public art contract, just to familiarize yourself with that as well. And this is our timeline. There's a lot of dates on here, but I just want to call attention to, right today we have our artist info meeting. And then on Tuesday, May 28th, that is the deadline for the part 1 of qualification. So that's when we want you to submit those images, lists, and answers to those questions. Other dates to note here are the pre-proposal meeting with finalists, as well as the proposal selection day. So this really gives you a sense of, as we referred to earlier, how long this process really is, because finalists are notified by July 5th, and the proposal selection day, the final part of selecting an artist, doesn't happen until February of 2025. So just to give you an idea of how much time and thought we put into this process and how much we integrate it into the community and the people who are going to be experiencing it most. And so now I want to encourage you to ask some, I do see some questions in the chat here, but if you can raise your hand, and in the meantime, I'll read the question that I found in here. I see that Rose asked, you mentioned partnering with muralist painters. Are you specifically looking for a painter, or is somebody who works in photographic compositions eligible?
Yeah, that absolutely. We are looking for something that's going to be large scale. So if you work in photographic compositions, that's fine as long as they are to the scale of the wall and to the room, and not, just something that would be framed. Is really the desire for this project to become a mural wall. So if it's a photographic source that you've created, that's your original artwork, and you're making a composition and then submitting that as the proposal, then yes, that could definitely work. So when you submit your application, you want to show maybe ways that you have maybe adapted images or photographs that you've taken to a larger space. And then also, if you're a photographer, you definitely want to apply as a team to make sure that you're not just doing the 2-dimensional, that you also bring a 3-dimensional artist or fabricator with you.
Thank you. Hi, it's Rose. I just also, you keep on mentioning a team, and I know you said if you feel confident, but I'm actually a sculptor and a photographer. I have my, so are you really, because it sounds like you're really looking for a team, and I do have people that I work with if you're interested in a larger group, but actually the reason why I was attracted to it was because it had both of my lives in the proposal.
Yeah, no, honestly, what we want to do is, one, this is an opportunity for someone like you who can do both the 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, but also we've got, this is a great opportunity for artists who have been looking for opportunities to collaborate. So this is that opportunity, as well as we don't want artists who may not be able to do the 3-dimensional on their own to think they have to, come with all of that knowledge. If they can find a fabricator, if they can find other artists that would collaborate with them, this is a great opportunity for a team. So no, you do not have to be a team, but if you can't do both, you need to submit as a team to be considered.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I see some other hands.
Yeah, I think I saw Dayton's hand first, and then we have a question from Dante in the chat, and then I saw Ernie raise their hand as well. So Dayton, do you want to go first?
Oh, yeah, I think my question's already answered. It's both sites will be one artist or one artist team. You won't be picking two artists for two different sites.
That's correct. Yeah, it's one artist or artist team for this project.
Okay, great. Gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you got it. And Dante asked, can the art for the wall be interactive? Absolutely. Yes. I think is that the answer, Marguerite?
Yeah. Well, it depends
I
on
would
what you
love
mean
that.
interactive. If you're
That's
talking
true.
about like anything that has like electrical components to it, or if it's like screens, TV screens, we try to stay away from that just because this artwork needs to be permanent. It needs to last 50 years. And the maintenance can be difficult. We have a lot of percent for art projects, but we have a limited art conservation budget with over 1,000 artworks in the city. And so durability is really important, and electronic things that need to get fixed or get broken are not preferred. So as interactive as possible that way. If there's text or there's other things that other sensory experiences, that's great.
Yeah, I would put an emphasis on what we're looking for: permanent and enduring works of art. And we classify that as works of art that last 50 years or longer. So sort of keep that in your mind as you're thinking about your proposal. I think I saw Ernie raise their hand, but
I did.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So
Hello.
I had a question. Did I hear you mention that you all are allowing some mosaic art to be added or part of a team?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so for the wall, we tried to show some examples of like, it could be a bas relief, right? So if you're a sculptural artist or you're a metal worker or something like that, you could have something that we definitely want both of the artworks to relate to each other in theme, at the very least. So if, say, you have something that's mosaic, maybe there's something that, I don't know if that would find its way in the ceiling element, but it could be bas relief, it could be mosaic, it can be sculptural, it can just be paint on the wall.
Okay. All right. Okay. No, that answered the question. Because I will be reaching out to I'm co-chair and on the board with Costa Costa Art at Large with Kim Navala. So I was going to pass this along to her. I didn't want to pass it along and it was a no. So I wanted to get clarity there because she's been doing this type of work for over 20 plus years. And the other question, when I do give her the information that you said, the application is on the website, and did you drop it in the chat?
Yep, we will definitely
Let me do that now. Yeah.
Yep. And then on our last slide, there's also
it's so hard to see. I'm sorry.
No, we
on
haven't
my
gotten there
phone.
yet.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
okay. I hear
okay.
you saying on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just make
mhm,
sure that
mhm.
she is able to do 2D and 3D work. So if she's able to get on a team,
Most
because
definitely, yes.
Yep.
Most definitely. Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, I see we have Breck Brunson. I hope I pronounced your name right.
You did. Thank you. My question was, I'm trying to figure out the team now. Is the ceiling height 12 foot there as well, or is that just for the wall?
The ceiling actually pops up past the wall, and there's like windows all around just at the ceiling. And so that allows a lot of light to come in. And I think we put the height in the call for artists. I don't remember it offhand. Do you remember what it is? The height of the ceiling?
The height for the ceiling in the wall area is, we do have it. Let me pull that up and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll put it in the chat.
Okay,
We have
thank
that.
you.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just curious about what team could handle scaffolding or if it was just a ladder thing.
Okay. Good question.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on while we answer that question. I see Cornelia.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Very informative. I have a couple dry questions. I also was wondering about the ceiling height. Thank you. Insurance and the contract with the city. The timeline looked like the contract with the city is before fabrication.
Yes.
So that is kind of interesting. Would you expand on that? And insurance is what you expect we would have to have.
Right.
us.
So insurance is typically you'll see so in the we get into this a little bit deeper with the finalist artists who are getting ready to actually create proposals, but it's a good question. We typically estimate insurance costs about 1% of the budget as a line item that you can be thinking about as a budget if you're selected as a finalist, because you won't need to put together a budget until you get to that point. And it's liability insurance. I think it's like general liability insurance. There's a description of the type of insurance that's needed. If you remember, Marie said that in the call for artists, there's a link to a sample public art contract. And that's a sample contract between the artist and the city. And in there's a section on insurance that covers, and that information is in there. And if you have specific question about that, you can send that question in writing by the deadline, and we can answer that. Also, there's a whole nother separate section of question time and answer that's available to the shortlisted finalist artists as well. So if you get to that point, you can ask more detailed questions then as well. In terms of the contract, so at this point, obviously you're submitting. If you get selected as a finalist artist, there is a kind of an agreement of understanding at that point. It's not a contract, but it is signed that says that, these are you're going to participate, you're going to submit a proposal, you're going to get $1,000 stipend. If you don't continue with the proposal process, you have to return the stipend, that type of a thing. Then once the artist is selected, a winning artist, that artist enters into a contract with the city of Philadelphia that says you've been selected, you're going to create this artwork. This is the artwork that you proposed that was selected. You're going to make this. This is, kind of the legal parameters that form the agreement for creating an artwork for the city. And that has to happen before it's fabricated, that we have an agreement in place with the winning artists.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I can see if we have. Oh, I see some other.
There's a few questions in the chat. Do we have to name all prospective contractors as fabricators in the application already? Are the costs of travel to the finalist meeting from overseas reimbursed?
Oh, so I'll take the first question. So yes, if it's a lead, you might have multiple fabricators, you might have multiple elements, and maybe you have some like lead fabricators and some other types of, like, say you're printing on tile, so you're creating a graphic artwork that's going to be printed on tile, and you find that you have to find a tile manufacturer or a tile printer. You may not be at that point where you can say, here's the tile manufacturer. But say you're an artist and a large component of your team is this fabricator who's going to design and fabricate the ceiling sculpture. Well, yeah, that you need to include them as part of your team. They're a lead team member, and you have to list them so that their qualifications can be included with your qualifications, and you can apply jointly as a team to show capacity to do the work. So it's up to you to determine like who's a lead designer or artist or fabricator on your team, and they should be included. And then the cost of travel. So all travel costs need to be part of the budget that the artist submits as part of the proposal. Until we get to the site meeting, there's no in-person. Well, yeah, until we get to the site meeting for a finalist artist, there's no in-person. Everything would be Zoom. But then there is an in-person community meeting. There's an in-person site visit. We try to have them around the same time, but that would be part of. You would have to front those. Actually, those costs happen before a contract is signed, and so that would have to come from the stipend. And then with Southwest Germantown be part of the Logan community. you know, in Germantown is Germantown, Logan is Logan. But you know, showing that you're a Philadelphia resident, you're familiar with the area, any if you know anything about Logan or had any involvement in the Logan community, or that's great to note as well as your understanding of Philadelphia communities and communities like Logan in Philadelphia. You want to express that in the application. All right, I'm talking a lot because I'm trying to stall while Marie's putting the putting the ceiling information up there. But I think she may have had it put in there. You put in the chat, Marie.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So,
Okay.
just to summarize what I wrote, where did I put that? So there's a full description in the call for artists of the measurements for the recessed wall, and we will have measurements for the parameters for the ceiling hung art installation for the second part of the process. Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions here. Oh, there was a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was going to say, if that doesn't answer the question about, once you read that, if that doesn't answer the question, the specific question about the ceiling height, you can send that question in writing. We should be able to get that to you, to everyone. All questions that are sent will be shared with everyone, the responses
Yes.
by I think we said the 20, Maria will go over the dates, but you can
Yes.
send that in writing.
Yeah, and I did see, I'm sorry, I was typing a little bit. The question about, are the costs of travel to the finalist meeting from overseas reimbursed? Did we answer that question?
We did.
Okay, got it. All right. I was in.
Oh, wait, I think I'm seeing a question here from Megan Biddle. Are you open to other types of media for the wall portion, ceramic glass, or specifically painterly mural-based work? Okay, I answered the question. Awesome. Okay. I'm reading slow. Okay, you can, if you're any other question, you can raise your hand. So we have just a few more minutes left. We want to be respectful of everyone's time and keep this to an hour. Oh, I see Cornelia. Do you still have your hand up, or do you
A
need
new
to raise it?
question. If we work with the community, and I love that, let's say lead a class or an engagement event, do you have locations for that nearby? Or how do you picture that happen?
You want to answer that one, Marie?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So how we've worked with that in the past is usually we'll ask the community, ask our committee members for recommendations. So for example, in one of our most recent projects, we learned that the senior center near the site that we were that was being renovated was something that people heavily interacted with. So that became a site for the community project. So people went to that site and completed the work, that was associated with it. So so really it would just be us putting our feelers out into the community, getting you the information you need and connecting you to the right people.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
All right, maybe we can, I think you have one more slide left.
Yeah, I think we maybe have, let's see. Oh, yes, the poll question. Let's see. Let's see if I can do that again. Are we able to poll people?
I don't know, because I remember it was
Yeah,
instead of the one, it was it was all on the one question. maybe you can just, you know, give a thumbs up or put in the chat
Yeah.
if that's something that now from what you've learned today, if you think that you might apply to this opportunity. Oh, and I see there's a question. Sierra?
Hello. My name is Sierra. Thank you so much for this. I actually am the leader of an international arts collective called Brujas, and we do have somebody in Oxford Circle and in West Philadelphia who are big members of our collective. And I'm located currently in Baltimore. This was sent to me by my colleague Rabiatu, who is in Oxford Circle, and she's a poet. I'm a large scale sculpture, mixed media person, and there are several fabricators in our collective all up and down the East Coast. So I was wondering if this is something that our collective should apply for. I understand that, you know, it sounds like this is the perfect opportunity because we could have our printmaker and our painters get together to make the mural and work on that as well. A fabricator that is based out of Rhode Island and myself make a large scale hanging sculpture. But I was just wondering how else we could include maybe a performative element to the presentation of everything, if that would be something that also engages the community. Just a couple vague questions.
Yeah, and that I think that there would certainly be opportunities for you know, cultural events and things of that nature to activate the space, perhaps as you know, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to in terms of performances, but just keep in mind the artwork itself needs to be permanent. But if there's ideas that you have for activating the space or you know, other things like that, or for more engagement for at a meeting or part of a workshop or something related to the theme of the artwork that's performative, you can definitely propose that. I hope that's making sense. And then, like, yeah, the collective that you're talking about, especially with, you know, having some presence in Philadelphia and the you know, multi-medium you know, capability, sounds like it's definitely appropriate.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. These are really, really great questions. We're over our time. I think we're going to take one more question from Ernie.
Okay, hi again. So kind of to piggyback off of the young lady just spoke, I am also I'm a part. I'm like listening, like I don't even know if I was supposed to be on this meeting, but I missed the last one because of work. But I'm part of the community group that is will be, you know, doing whatever we have to do later on down the line. I'm a 35-year plus. I lived in Logan for 35 plus years, and I've raised all four of my children, now my grandchildren, here in this neighborhood. So I'm proud to be a part of the project, to be able to help one of the many projects. So my question is, and a lot of times when we see our neighborhoods, we normally paintings and pictures is normally of things outside of the community. So my question is, like the neighborhood and the literacy programs and the Read by Four initiatives and all that, when the artists draw the children or the youth or whoever, it's normally of faces that we don't recognize. So my question is, I know that I've seen some friends and family members and people I don't know, when they see a picture of themselves on an advertisement of the bus, you would think that they were superstars and they're ready to get a Hollywood Walk of Fame and mantle in the ground. That's how excited they are. So my question is, when the artists start doing what they do best, is there initiative to make sure or try and get incentives and approval to have some youth in the community faces, you know, maybe drawn or a depiction of, or family or something like that, to bring excitement to their own neighborhoods and not a drawn picture from a magazine?
Well, Ernie, these are all really great points. I'm so glad you're bringing all of this up as a community member and as a part of our the committee. So it depends on the artwork, you know, if you know, depending on what the artists you know, propose, there certainly could be opportunities for if there, you know, images of community members to be part of, you know, part of the project. We recently did a project that is still in its design phase, but there's a winning artist, and part of the project was these hands that were sculpted. It was part of a sculpture, but these hands that were part of the sculpture at a recreation center in South Philly. And part of the design, the winning team's idea was to actually take leaders from the community and make molds of their hands, so that the actual hands that are part of this sculpture are actually part of the community. And that came from the artist. It wasn't, we don't like to, you know, prescribe, or because it's like we're limiting. Like I could have never come up with that. You know, we could have never put that in a call for artists. We're just not that, you know, creative. So we're creative, but not as creative as our artists. So, you know, we really, you know, that's such a great point. And, you know, it'd be really cool to see what the artists, what they propose.
Okay, artists on the line, hint, 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 hint.
It's a great hint.
Right. Well, thank you for your time again. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to try to wrap up here quickly so we can give you guys back your night.
All right, yes, this is our last slide here. And this is just to remind you to submit your questions by April 22nd to myself. And we will post the questions and answers on Zoom along with this recording of Zoom, you know, of this recording by April 29th. So that should give you enough time to be able to have more information that you need by May 28th, the deadline. And if you think of anything else that you have a question about, please do not hesitate to contact us. We're here to guide you along in this process. And we really want to see new, vibrant work at the Barrett Recreation Center. It's going to be amazing. So excited.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone. Continue to enjoy this nice weather today.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
That's right.
too.
Yes.